This is Road to the Golden Door, where we unpack the proven success formula straight from the minds of Golden Door winners, uncovering the motivation, methods, and the mindset it takes to become an elite performer in door-to-door sales and in life. This is Road to the Golden Door. Now, here's your host, Mikey Lucas.
All right, welcome back. Road to the Golden Door. We have a outstanding individual. If you don't know who my guest is today, you are going to know, and you're going to learn some new stuff today. We have a platinum Golden Door Award winner on here, which means this individual, she has hit Golden Door 3 times. So it is an absolute pleasure. Somebody that has 14 years experience, has made hundreds of thousands of dollars for her reps. And has made millions of dollars herself and made a massive impact in the industry. 11 summers knocking doors in pest control, which I don't know if anybody ever wants to do that, but you did it and you made it through. And now you've sold over 1,000 accounts in pest control in 1 year, and that is a very hard thing to do. And now you're doing a summer sales model in solar and still selling more than the boys. So, Suli Zinck, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mikey. Probably not all the boys, but a lot.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them. I can name maybe on one hand who's selling more than you. But if you did it year round, you'd knock them out the park.
Yeah, it'd probably be a little different, but I definitely commend the people who do door to door year round because that's a different beast in itself.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about that because it's I think you're just the level of urgency, right? So I wish more people, which I kind of like the whole. I do and I don't. I like the blitz model. I like the whole 10 on 20 off thing, lifestyle thing. But I think what's very unique about you is that you care so much about your family that you've actually created, you've designed. You are what I look for in superpreneurs and entrepreneurs, and I look for people that build their life around their family, rather than build their business or their business around. Or the other way around.
Around business, yes.
Yeah, the family around the business. So like your family is your nucleus, and everything else is around that. So I'm really excited to hear that because one of the biggest things I talk about on this show is family. At the end of the day, I think one of our purposes is to have a family to grow and raise children that are superpreneurs and entrepreneurs that help. So the good people can have the money, in other words. So
I agree.
Yeah, I know. And then we're gonna be able to jam on that. So Suli, for the people that don't know who you are, you're probably one of the only people that on stage with a microphone can stand up to Sam Taggart, which you did this year at the event, which I was like, get it, girl. Tell him what's up. Come on.
I love
stand up for yourself now.
I love Sam.
I know Sam's a great guy.
And even right after, he's like, "Yeah, we're getting that changed and shipped out to you." So
let's go. So for whoever doesn't know Suli Zinck, who is Suli Zinck?
I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a bold, vulnerable, authentic human being, just trying to create other good people. And again, I've been in the door-to-door space since 2008, and a lot of people manage and do different things during during those several years of knocking. But for me, I was just in door-to-door, just a rep. But at home, I was everything else.
Interesting. So, dang, freaking 14 years.
Yeah, 3 of them pregnant. So I knocked pregnant with my first one. Like all of my kids were if you were to ask them right now, what they're going to do when they're older, they're going to say what my mom does. We're going to knock doors. My youngest one, he'll probably just say, "Oh, I'm going to be on Zoom calls," because that's all he sees is mom on Zoom calls. But my kids, they are ingrained in the numbers of door to door. They come to the team meetings. This is what they know. They were born in the door to door. They were born on the doors.
Yeah, for real, dude. That's wild.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Okay, so tell me now. You're at Pure Energy.
Uh-huh.
I know you love it. You're the big face of the company. It's just good.
I don't think I'm the big face. I'm one of them.
So you guys, I think you guys had what was it,
So
four or five?
so we had five. So
Golden Door?
this year, five Golden Door winners, and then we also took all the competitions that we were in. So we did a few with Sam, like the nationwide,
Yeah.
the Knock Star ones that Austin Stoker won, and
No.
then Blake and I had taken like the competitions that way. But every competition that they basically put Pure in, we took it this year. So.
Okay, so you have a winning culture. Tell me about that. Why is it that's a is it peer versus everybody? Like how does that work? Like tell me why you guys are winners. Because here's the thing. I've got a in my bathroom when you're standing up peeing, there's a winners win and losers lose.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's that motto. Like I've definitely adopted a little bit something different as I figured out who Suli is, but like as a whole and as a company, like from the second that I got here, his name is Matt. He is the corporate setter trainer, and they have this line in the Waco training. So basically, we have a training office. They're like called the boys, and they all do the trainings and everything like that, where they travel to each of the markets. And their motto is basically, if you're not first, you're last. Like it doesn't matter if someone barely won by half a point or whatnot. Like you're last. Like no one goes to the Super Bowl. Like we don't even remember like who lost. Like it doesn't matter if someone barely beat. Like if you are not first, you're last. And I think that that's the motto that we've adopted as far as like the leadership as a whole. If we're not number one, it doesn't matter. And it's like the same thing in competitions and everything else. If we're not getting the most awards, it doesn't matter. Like our name doesn't mean anything, even though there's a lot of people. So I think that it just kind of started from the top and with the core foundation that the trainers adopted, in the sense of like, we're here to win. Yeah, we're family. We're going to have fun, but we're here to win.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to get this question. I already know.
Okay.
How do you integrate that, and how do you create that culture? I could say that I feel like I did a very good job at that, but how do you create? I guess I have a hard time teaching that. Maybe it's because I haven't mastered it.
Yep.
So how do you, for the listeners, the Golden Door Award listeners that are trying to integrate that, they're outstanding. They're outstanding. Okay. So let me tell you a story first.
Okay.
So there's this guy, he can throw the ball 60 yards on the spiral, on the dot every single time. Generally speaking, in football, you would put that person at quarterback, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Except for the fact that he's 6'6" and 385 pounds. He's actually your left guard.
Okay.
So just because somebody can doesn't mean they should be. Just because they can throw the ball doesn't mean they should be. So in other words, I'm sure you see a lot, and I know you agree, right? Most people, they get that, but it's like we get a lot of times where we live this like American dream corporate ladder where we have to go up, and we've made being a setter not sexy.
Yeah.
In my business, actually, before I exited, the main thing that I did was actually I was setting deals for my top closers.
That's awesome.
So I stopped selling and now got my closers into houses, which to me, I was like, I would much rather be a setter than a closer.
Oh my gosh. Life is so much simpler.
Come on. I'm like, so like, and before I got into the order, I was a busser, and the waiter always got if something went wrong, it was always the waiter's fault.
Yeah.
It was never, it wasn't like the water or the bread, right? But like if there's something wrong with the kitchen did it was the waiter's fault. It was never the busser or the back waiter's fault. Yeah. So like I knew that. So anyways, I want to understand. I want to understand, because something that I know that you're really, really good at and you're passionate about is helping people grow. Right before the show here off mic, you were talking about how you're like, yo, bro, like you got 20 minutes. I got to go be with my new people, these day oneers, and I'm going to go knock on some doors. You're probably, I don't know, you pregnant again? You got to go knock some doors? Look at you, girl. You just want to go.
No.
Sorry, getting off. Okay. So tell me this really quickly. How do you how does a Golden Door Award winner? Because a lot of these guys that I interview now, they're like, yeah, my goal next year is, or this year is, I'm going to start an office and I'm going to duplicate myself, right? Because we're sold this vision that like we must go duplicate
Yeah.
ourselves. And it, as you know, like for most people that are listening, they've never done this before, and it's very, very complicated.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Like, how does that work? What are your thoughts around that? Tell me your secrets.
Yeah. So one, I'm going to be completely transparent. So yeah, we have the motto, if you're not first, you're last. And I think that just simply, if you're getting core players bought in, it makes everything else a lot easier. And so we have over 7 offices here at Pure, and I am probably the one office with probably the least amount of experience, I want to say, because I focus on growth and people like moving up, opening up their own offices and things like that. But there's so many people in my circle with great qualities that I don't have, such as like I have a closer manager who she is just so empathetic, like so loving and so like kind. So it's like, hey, you're going to be at the forefront teaching closers how to do this, because I'm impatient. Like I'm like, I want you to go do the XYZ. And then I have someone else who is just like super outgoing and personable with everyone and just makes everyone feels included. So it's like, hey, you're kind of in charge of like the new reps, that's them coming in, doing these types of things. But I think for me, the biggest thing, I still feel like, well, one, a lot of people don't know this, but I don't like being a leader. I don't want to be one. It comes with a lot of responsibilities in the sense of human beings and their families and what they've got going on and emotions, and being a woman and leading at the same time, and being a woman who has very high emotions. It conflicts a lot of the time, that it just has me sitting in my emotions a lot longer than as if, a male leader came and it was just like, all right, on to the next thing.
Black, white, go.
Yeah,
Stop.
yes. But I think because I am focusing, I'm always looking for who on my team is super strong at XYZ. I'm going to have them in charge of that. And because I've been delegating a lot of the responsibilities with people on the doors, like this year, the door-to-door space won't see my face on top numbers. They won't see my face, out there, because I'm going to be setting for my brother. I want to replicate Golden Door earners on my team, which means my ass has to be knocking with new reps. I need to go set appointments with them for these closers. I need to go and show them exactly what it is that we need to do to produce. So I think that whole line, if you're not first, you're last. Like for me, it's like, all right, if I don't have all the experience reps, if I don't have all the experience, if I don't have all these things, it's now my obligation to go out there and lead from the front. I need to go be out there and continually showing everyone, okay, this is what it looks like. Even if it means me not winning awards, I need to be in a mindset and in a mind frame that this year it's going to be all about these reps. It's going to be about everyone being elevated and taking care of their families, which I know at the end of the summer is going to keep us at top if I'm doing that.
Okay. Practically speaking.
Okay.
What does that mean? Because I hear that said a lot. So I want to camp there for a second.
You hear what said a lot?
I hear like lead from the front.
Got it.
And I know that when you say that, you've got conviction. So let's camp there, because one of the main attributes of a Golden Door Award winner and a whole life successful entrepreneur, a long-term successful entrepreneur, not someone that's done it for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Someone that's done it for 14 years, going on 15 years now.
Yeah.
The attributes that I see in people like yourself are they lead from the front.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way, as far as I don't like the spotlight.
Yeah.
I will take the spotlight when necessary,
Yeah.
but I would rather give the spotlight to somebody else. I've seen in my own business, in my own career, how that has tarnished my success journey, but not really. Like in the short term, it did.
Yeah.
Like, I'm better than you. Like,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I want to camp there. Lead from the front. You said lead from the front. So tell me. I guess, what does that look like? Okay, so now
Yes.
you're like, hey, I'm gonna go and do this. So just go ahead and
I
let's
know what
campaign.
I know what you're asking, and I guess I'm gonna say the words lead from the back. Like, I've already won the awards. Like, my team and people already know my face, that I can do it. So what I mean by leading from the front, it means like, hey, being out there instead of having like my experienced reps knocking with all the new reps during the summer and things like that. I'm gonna let them go and focus on their numbers. I'm gonna let them go and set for like the top closers, while I'm gonna be with the new reps setting, and also helping out the closers. Like, we are basically have decided, hey, these are going to be the few people on the team that we're going to be shooting for Golden Door. I'm not one of them. So for me, leading from the front, I've got to be in the background, making sure that I'm setting up the person's appointments like up properly. Hey, if anyone cancels this, and that, I'm incentivizing myself and the rest of the team. Hey, they need an appointment at this time. Like, let's go out there and get it. Like, I'm talking about reps seeing me in the background, more out there in the field, as opposed to the awards, the winning, the doing all those things. I've already done that. I've already put in the work on the front. Now it's about like behind closed doors, what I can do. I spend a lot of time, or have in the past, like coaching other reps in other companies and things like that. Now it's focusing behind closed doors, one-on-one with the personal reps on my team, providing free one-on-one coaching, providing like being out there on the doors with them, even if it means just going to Starbucks, like, hey, let's break down our goals, let's do these things. My reps this year are going to see a lot more of me. Like, I'm going to be more accessible in the sense of like, I want to coach my circle. I want to be here available for them. And that's what I mean by leading from the front. It really is from the back. A lot of the behind the scenes things that people aren't going to see, that's really going to elevate 4 or 5 people to be able to go and obtain a Golden Door award this year.
I love that. Have you ever read 360 Degree Leader, John C. Maxwell?
No, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. He initially said I was going to, he said he did not write the title 360 Degree Leader. He said he wanted the title to be Follow Me, I'm Right Behind You.
I love that.
Probably one of the best books I've ever read when it comes to leadership. And obviously everything John C. Maxwell hits, but people say, 5 levels, 21 irrefutable laws, like, developing a leader within you. Those are all great books. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Good leaders ask great questions. Those are all great books, but 360 Degree Leader was definitely my favorite book.
I'm gonna order that as soon as we get off this call.
Follow Me, I'm Right Behind You. That's just, when you said that, I was like, she's probably read this book. Hell yeah.
No, now I want to.
On that note, and then I'll go back to what you're saying, because I want to dive into that a little bit further. I wrote down some notes on that. Is there any books that you're reading right now?
Yes. So currently right now, I am reading The Self-Aware Leader by John A. Maxwell. And also on my audio, I've decided that every single month I am going to be re-listening to this book, Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. So every single month for this year, I have the Audible playing in my car in between and things like that. She just breaks down the concept of vulnerability and hard conversations, which I have a hard time with still. But it just helps with the transparency and the honesty, and reps looking at me like a human being. So those are the 2 reads that I'm in right now.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I put those in the show notes below on purpose, because a lot of people, for me, I'm a college dropout, 3-time college dropout. And I didn't read a book until I got out of college.
Wow.
I've read over 700 books now. And the thing that I do is, and people will say this to me all the time, I used to get made fun of by non-people in the industry. They would get in my car, and like sometimes in your car just auto plays, depending on what car you got, right?
Yeah.
It starts auto playing. I would be having most of my books I listen to at times 2 speed. And so,
I love that.
they would, I don't know, there was like memes or whatever that was going around in like our group chats at our church of like Mikey's anyways, so I thought
No,
that was,
no, I love that. Like I do that with certain books. Like there'll be times where the book is so good, so I'm gonna listen to it on two times, and I'm gonna be reading it like at the same
yeah,
time. It definitely helps.
I do that as well. That's if you didn't catch that, guys, listen to that again. You said you listen to the book as at the same time you're reading the
As
book.
I'm reading the book, yes,
As you're reading the book.
and yeah, I will have that at two times. It just sticks a little bit longer. So I don't. This year, I'm not buying any new books. Like not, like it is about going back and rereading. So any books that I don't have the Audible to, now it's getting the Audible and rereading it both at the same time while listening.
No new books,
No new books this year.
like no new friends, no
Yeah,
new.
no new friends either. Just
Um, there's a book that I read 72 times now. It's Oren Klaff, Pitch Anything.
pitch anything.
Yeah, and I just was actually with him for a 3-day in-person event, and that's one of the things that I learned from Eric Thomas was you don't need more knowledge, you need explicit knowledge.
Yes.
You don't need more books, you need explicit knowledge from those books. You need to read 2 pages, put that down, go implement
Yes.
that.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
love that.
yeah, this way around, like I've definitely been a lot slower, like on books. Like, what's the need to say that? Oh, I did this many, but I love Eric Thomas and the simple fact that he's just like, yes, go and rework it, like go and relearn it, go and actually utilize it. So I love that.
Dare to lead.
Hmm.
It's exciting to know. I do that. I do 4 times a year. I do Compound Effect
Compound
every
effect.
quarter.
Yes.
Yeah, that one I do 4 times a year. That one I've read over 40 times. That one's one of my favorite. Like kind of like you said with Dare to Lead. That's one of those ones with that. So I'm excited to hear that. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about, and I'll go back to the word that I had here, but tell me a little bit about why transparency, honesty, and vulnerability has been something that you're working on. Obviously, you weren't the best at it. You just said, "Hey, look, I'd rather, I don't do well with being nice to people. Like you're freaking fired." Like, tell me why. What is that? Is it because you have kids thing now? I mean, you have kids that you own, and then you have kids that you rent. Meaning
Yes,
you know what I mean? So you know what I mean by that.
I
Um,
do.
so what's up with that?
I
Why
think
is
it
that a
has
focus for you?
everything to do with my transition from one industry to another. Like, here's the thing about women. We are loyal. Like when I was doing pest control, there was so many people from alarms, dish, like solar, everywhere and their moms and dads that would offer me more money, like sign-on bonuses, all these things every single year. And I was like, no, like who does like that? That's not a thing. You don't sign up with someone and then go because someone like dangles a carrot. But anyways, along the lines with that, it's once you find out that yes, that person or that human that you've been trusting and following for so long wasn't really truthful. Everything you begin to question, like everything else. And it had hit me really hard when someone had said, or I had even read too, people don't quit companies, they quit people. And I've had people quit on me, like, and not because of the company, but because of me, like personally. And that was like the same thing for me, like making the transition. It wasn't necessarily the company, but it was the people. Like I outgrew them, and it came down to the transparency. And when I found out that, I was lied to, it was a big blow to my face. And I feel like it's the same for anyone else who comes around me, that I'm like, I'm going to be a hypocrite if I'm not going to be able to be open and transparent with them. I just feel like people respect that and stay a little bit longer. Like I tell my reps up front, hey, you'll go and make more per kilowatt if you go to Lumio or, wherever the heck else. Like for me, it's going to be about consistency and it's going to be about volume, but here's what you're going to get in return. It's going to be XYZ. So being transparent in the things like that, and like, hey, if you went over here, you'd be getting XYZ, and that's totally fine. But I think for myself, working on the transparency and just working on myself, it makes it a lot easier when people have outgrown me, in the sense of like, hey, like this didn't work for me, or hey, I want to go back to like the 9 to 5, or I want to go try something else new, or whatnot. Like I don't necessarily blame the company. Oh shoot, I don't necessarily blame the company. I definitely look at the leadership, which just is a constant reminder to myself that I need to constantly be doing the internal work to, be more self aware as a leader. And that just starts with transparency. If I'm always telling the truth and honest with people, I never have to go back and try to remember what it was I said or didn't say.
Yeah, I love that. Appreciate you sharing that. That's something that's it's not just in door to door. It's in all business. It's everywhere. So, I've seen a lot of like meme quotes or whatever around recently. That's like, for those people those friends that you have that want you to win and they want nothing in return, keep those people close to you.
Yes.
It's hard to find people like that. I don't really know why. It's not how I was raised. But yeah, getting in business, and the hard part is that business is a full contact sport, and there's not a referee, calling personal fouls on people,
Yeah.
blasting you. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting. Kind of, one of those character building moments. Like, how are you going to act when someone is blatantly lying about you
Yeah.
or lying to you?
Yeah. That part.
Yeah. So there's a word you said that stood out to me when you were talking about leadership. Is you said nurturing, and I think that is I've taught this a few times to the Knockstar guys. I've taught this, and I talk about this on the internet a lot. Is there's two ways to lead people.
Okay.
You can mentor them or nurture them, same thing, or you can leverage them. And there's two types of leaders. Now, there's probably 20 different types or 10 different types of leaders, but at the end of the day, I think they boil down to two things. There's one that's the nurturing leader,
okay,
mentoring leader, and the one that's the leveraging leader. That's the, hey, what am I going to get out of you?
Yep.
Leader. So you said nurturing, and it's really cool. I want to make it really, really clear here that Suli has literally helped people make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's been people with you that have stayed with you for a very long time, and people that are extremely loyal to you, not just because you're loyal, but because of they can trust you.
Yeah.
You have that energy. You have that, you have that. So,
Thank you.
I wish that I knew you coming out of high school, because I would have worked for you as well.
Or I would have worked for you.
One way or the other, right?
Yeah.
We would have worked together, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about this nurturing thing. Why is that so important to you? And I guess, what is your style of nurturing? How do you do that? Is it more of an individualized, where you kind of take each rep and figure out, how they were raised? Did they do well when you yell at them? Do they not do well? How do you determine that? And how do you lead in that way?
Yeah, no, I love this question, and I want to make it clear that I am still learning, and I still have weaknesses, and I still suck. But a lot of things definitely stem from childhood and the way that we were raised, and so I don't do well. I don't do well accepting compliments. Like when people give it to me, like I'll smile, but deep down inside, I'm like, ugh. It's one of the hardest things for me to hear, and I've had to like overcome. But I've recognized how much other people love it, and I've had people who approach me and it was like, hey, at my job, I've never gotten a book on a holiday. At my job, my boss never reached out to me to text me and say happy birthday. And it's just simple things like that. Like what I've learned over the years of being in the space for so long is that not all of us leaders are perfect, but for those people who do want to be leaders, it's just taking the good that you've found in different managers and implementing it. And I think that's what I've been trying to do. Like I had a manager who was just like really good at the little things. And so I told myself, if I can just focus on the little things. So like, today, Valentine's, getting everyone like red and white shirts. It's like the, 10, 11 bucks or whatever, but it goes like such a long ways for the reps of like, oh my gosh, she went out of her way to think about me on their birthdays. We always do like a newsletter, like shout out, or actually like celebrate their birthday in our meetings. And for me, that stuff doesn't really like go for, I'm not like, I don't need it, but I have recognized just how much further and how much more thought of people feel around you when I am focusing on the little things. So even though they'll hear other people like, oh, well, they'll pay you 600 a kilowatt or this, and that. in their eyes when they return is like, no, Suli sees me. Like to reach out on my birthday, to simply like text me at the end of the night. It's why I don't ride with people in my car. The car is an office for me to follow up on my way to the next house, like checking on my rep. Hey, how's your day? Like, well, what were you struggling with? Like, what not? Okay, as soon as I'm done with this house, I'll check back in. And it's little things like that, utilizing the time that I do have for the type of leadership that I was looking for. And again, I still struggle, but I've made it a really big deal to just focus on the small little things. And I've just noticed the impact in my office and just the people who have stuck around.
Love that. What are I'm going to take you back really quickly to the 2019 season.
Okay.
Where'd you sell at? You hit the 1,012 accounts in pest control?
Yeah, so I was in Milwaukee. I was co-managing a team with Brigham Lindsay, who's like the ultimate pest control door-to-door salesman. So I was co-managing an office with him, so like running the trainings and things like that. And my husband and kids, we were living in this little small extended stay, and they saw me in the mornings, and that was about it. By the time I got home, the kids were already in bed. I had some soup or something on the table waiting for me, hung out with the hubby, and back to bed.
Well, tell me about this year in Milwaukee at the Extended Stay America. What were some of the breakthroughs that you had during that year?
Like, I'll be honest, it was a really big year of journaling and gratitude. Like, I know a lot of people are like, hey, focus on gratitude, like do these things. It's going to help you like let go of negativity. That year, two things happened. Like for me, I expected success, and I was going to show gratitude at the same time. I did like a podcast with all the 1,000 level reps that year. And one of the things that we talk about is, a lot of people are like, well, how do you get, to double digits like every single day? And they want to know what your secret pitch is. They want to know like what your one liner is. They want to know what it is that you're doing differently. My pitch isn't any better than a first year rep's pitch. My mindset, though, is going to be 10 billion times better than the person standing next to me, because that year I told myself I was getting 10 every day. The year before that, I was like, I don't know if I could be a Brigham. I don't know if I could be a Drew. I don't know if I could be like this, and that. I always told myself that I cannot be that person. 2019, it was, I expect 10 serviced accounts every day. And I didn't come home without it. And it happened every single day, 10 serviced accounts.
Oh, that's a huge breakthrough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you not think that? Okay. Why is it that top 1% sales professionals struggle even today? You do, and so do I, with self-doubt. Why is it that we struggle with that?
Again,
you had it in you clearly. It's not like, like I just got this magic pitch the next year and I'm at 1,000.
Yeah, again, I think it just stems to childhood. A lot of the belief systems that you had growing up, and again, I even limited myself, like looking into the space as a Black woman. And I know people are like, oh, stop bringing up the woman card or the Black card or whatever. It was real insecurities that I had entering this space that a lot of people won't experience, because one, they're not Black, and two, they're not a woman who's Black in the space with a stay-at-home husband. And so my insecurities and the things that I'm going to be struggling with aren't going to be the same as others. But I struggled for a long time looking and comparing to all the beautiful white men in this space who were so talented, the fancy cars, the all this. And I was just like, there's just no way. Like, I grew up on WIC. I lived with cockroaches. My grandma could barely afford anything. Like there's no way I can keep up, with these guys. And it was the year before 2019 that I started getting into therapy and counseling and stuff like that. So I think that definitely helped with the breakthrough in 2019. As I worked on myself personally, the external stuff started showing up. And that was a lot of stuff that I don't talk about like too often, but it was legitimately 2018 when I started the internal work on myself that sky just became like the limit for me after that.
Love that. I did the same thing. Not until I started to go to counseling, because I don't know what it is. Did you think like counseling was just like for like weak people? Like,
And so I'm also half Polynesian, and I think it's partly cultural too. Like right now, I'm such like an advocate for therapy, but yes, like growing up and in society, it's just like, oh, you go to therapy if you're broken. Like you go to counseling if something is wrong. Yes, that's initially how it started, but it's like even my husband and I, even for like our marriage, it's just like, why do you go and work out every single day? You know, you want to take care of your body, you want to take care of your engine. Why are there like little signals in our cars to check engine? That is how I view counseling right now. Like for people to say don't need it, like no, you need to check in, you need to be able to do those things. But I think yes, because of society and cultural and things like that, it was kind of like taboo. And I got to the point where I just like loved who I was, and now I scream it from the rooftops, and I basically like push all of my reps to go to therapy, honestly. I'm like, I am not a licensed specialized person in this department, but here are all the referrals that I have so you can have the tools necessary in your own personal journey.
yeah, I don't know why. I think it has a lot to do with society, that our culture, you know, millennials, 20, 30-year-olds, we think that we have to have it all together.
Yeah.
I think it starts systemically in high school, where you're a sophomore or freshman and you start to see that career day where everyone dresses up. And I talk about this in my book, that everyone dresses up in suits and ties or whatever, button ups. And, you know, it's career day in junior year, and you start preparing for your SATs and ACTs and what college you're going to go to and all this stuff and what career field you're going to go into. And I'm like, I literally could care less in 11th grade what the heck I was going to do. And thank God my parents, my mom started to, because my parents didn't go to college either. And they were kind of like, yeah, you know, go to college, don't go to college, but you should go to college. But if you don't really want to, then whatever, like go to college because you're going to become a baseball player, not because, you know, you're going to go do academics or get a degree or something. But we get told we have to have it all figured out. And I think that's what's led to, it's funny because, you know, like in my coaching stuff that I do, like at the end of the day, I'm really a life coach. Like, and that's like, I'm a life coach. Like I deal with whole life success. Yes, I talk about money a lot and I do coaching around finances, but I mean, I don't care how much money you have. If you're a prick to your wife, like I'm not here to help you. Like I can't, like it's a barrier. You're stuck. You're going to get stuck. If you're not giving money back to some sort of a cause, church or charity, you're just inherently the universe. You're not going to make more money.
Yeah. 1,000%.
So we have to have it all together. So I'm glad you started to go to therapy. I'm sad you saw a shrink or whatever you want to call it, or like a therapist, right? Yeah, and then you had some major breakthroughs. You hit over 1,000 accounts, which is not easy to do.
No.
I would even say it was not easier in 2019.
No, COVID year, like legit. I wasn't supposed to work that year. I was gonna go and do 200 accounts and be done. But we had already told our tenants at the time, we had multiple tenants, and it was like, hey, because of COVID, don't even worry about rent for a couple months. And then my husband's job was like, hey, well, we're not even going to need you back for like a while. And I was like, I went from like, well, I was going to sell, 250 accounts, keep my leadership title and leave it at that. But it was just like, I guess my ass is going to get up and go knock doors. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go out with a bang. So yeah, it happened.
Good. So you saw, and really, if you can touch on that briefly. So you do therapy or counseling, coaching, if you will, right? Because life coaching, therapy, it's all the same thing, right? Like personal development, so you do sessions with your husband.
We did, yes.
Awesome. Yeah, that's I just got married recently, so that's something that.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, we've explored that. It's helped us out a ton, and yeah, everyone says like, your first year of marriage is like supposed to be like the best. It's been like the worst. Not really, but it's not, it wasn't what I expected. My blueprint was completely off.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, like it was gonna be like my grandma and my grandpa, like she cooked and cleaned and I did nothing. Right. And the funny thing is if I were to look at it, she actually does a lot of that stuff. It's just that for whatever reason, my focus is not there. So I don't see that. And thank God for iPhone, because iPhone does one of the, and I do reflections every single year, every single quarter. And iPhone has those, like, you can like filter out like her face and like you together and traveling. And it's like, wow, like it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
Um,
we did a ton of fun stuff. But try, try being married first couple of years and being in door to door, and your wife's running a team. Like it was every other month of me telling him we're getting divorced. Like,
yeah, dude.
like our very first year, we get married in March, and then I'm co-managing a team, and we're out in summer sales, in April. And it was just like, I was basically like throwing his stuff in the trash like every other day while leading a team at the same time. So yeah, it's not easy being married, but
I feel it. I feel it. Yeah, I'm learning that now, which is cool. Okay, let me transition.
okay.
So from Pest, Golden Door, 1,000 accounts.
Hmm.
The very next year, installed 137 accounts.
Yeah.
And listen to this very closely. If you're not listening to this, listeners, you did this in like how many days?
130.
A
Not
hundred.
days.
You did 137 in 130 days.
Yeah.
So why is it, Suli, that people have a hard time hitting 50 in 365 days?
I don't know. I think
Even in setter closer model, because obviously you're in setter closer model. I know the first month you did self gen, but after that you did setter closer. So
yeah. So I did my own thing like the first 30 days. Like I literally got into solar on accident, first of all. But I just already had like that work ethic, and I just have this mentality. It doesn't matter what shirt or industry that you're in. If you have the work ethic, you'll succeed wherever. But I just think that misery just loves company. Like if people see the person sitting next to them, only doing or doing zero deals or one deal, they think that they're good doing one deal. If they see someone in front of them who's on their team, like, oh well, they're not doing very much. At least I'm doing a little bit better than them. Like I feel like there is so much of that in the space where it's like, well, I'm better than this person. If you are the top person in your team, you need to find other people to be able to compare to. And I think that that was the thing for me. I wasn't looking, I didn't even know what I needed to do in solar or anything like that. I wasn't paying attention to what everyone else did. For me, it was just like, if I am going to give up everything that I knew for over a decade, if I am going to drag my husband and kids to something none of us know nothing about, I am going to fuss and slay it in that concept. So I think that like being married, having kids, being in a space for so long, for me, it was just that there was just no such thing as failure. I was people were watching, people are staring at me, people are waiting for me to fail. And they're waiting for me to come back crawling like you were right, you were this and this and that, and my ego is way much bigger than that I wasn't gonna let the people who are waiting to watch me fall. And it just kind of happened to where, I mean, it wasn't easy, but yes, the success happened because of the work ethic that I just took with me. And I just think people are okay with mediocrity. They're okay with, hey, I'll go do one deal, make 8 grand, whatnot, and then chill. I don't believe in that mindset. It's just why I love the summer program. It's just a lot easier, in my opinion, to be mediocre doing this day in, day out for 12 months out of the year.
Yeah, it is. Try to look up a quote really quick. I'm gonna fill the time. There's a let me see if I can. Here it is. I don't relate to lazy people. We don't speak the same language. I don't understand you. I don't want to understand you.
Yes, I love that quote. And there's two ways of going about that. Like I think my first few years, I'm definitely an anomaly. Not all reps are like me in the sense of, I go out day 3, never knocking a door, and sell 11 accounts, and become the number one female rep my very first year. And those few years, like I feel like it was a scarcity mindset. Like, yeah, I didn't want to associate with anyone. I didn't like, yeah, don't talk to me. There's an arrogant side to it. And then Suli going to counseling and therapy, and now my whole model, in the door to door space is taking as many people with us. It's like, yeah, I don't want to relate to those type of people, but I want to be the example and take as many people with me who aren't going to make excuses.
Huh. Why do you think that that's in leadership point of view a turnoff for you?
Which part? the the
Excuses.
yeah, we have a responsibility. Like, I just, at the end of the day, I tell like my managers and the people who recruited me, I'm like, I love that you guys made money off of me making money, because you guys are the type of people that I want to work for, that I want to work with. And we as leaders, like, the reason that I get like, yeah, so amped up about it, we're getting overrides, we're doing all these things, like, people are following us, like, we need to set the pace. And so to be able to have, like, leaders who are like, oh, install times are long, or oh, the company this, or oh, this, or oh, XYZ. I had someone the other day who was just like, well, I'm kind of struggling with this, and I didn't know which leader to like reach out to. And I think for me, one of the biggest things is like, how often can I come to the table with solutions? And so I'm kind of like in an area where install times are a little bit longer. So it's just like, hey, I've got to like man up. If that means I have to spend 50 grand a year on an assistant who's going to baby accounts all the way through those long install times, I'm going to pay for someone to baby accounts, for long install times. If I'm having a hard time, with reps on the team who maybe aren't fitting the culture or whatnot, it's like, hey, do I need to go and tell my managers to come down on them? It's like, all right, let me be better at having those hard conversations, bringing it to the table and figuring out a solution of whether you're a good fit for this place or not. And it's too many times us leaders are looking for, okay, well, how much more can I get paid, or what can the company do for me, as opposed to how many more solutions can we bring to the table to show the company that we are of value still.
Who'd you learn that from?
I just think I think for being a woman, and it's because it's something that I bring up to my reps like all the time. I talk about this a lot for women and how it is that we're going to grow. Like, I have struggled from day one in door to door, because I wanted to make sure that I earned the respect of leaders. And that was just like something that I adopted, like, to be able to have male leaders. If they see me, yes, I'm going to like bitch and moan and complain and things like that. But if they also see me bringing solutions to the things that I'm complaining about, I'm going to be respected more. And so I think that I didn't. It was just something that I taught myself and what I continue to teach other women. If we want to move up in a company, if we want to move up into this space, we have to show them value. So it means when we're complaining, we also come with a solution at the same time, so that we'd be able to move forward and be able to earn the respect. And so I just turn around and teach the women the same thing.
Love that. Let me transition really quick as I land the plane.
Okay.
What are ways that you give back right now?
To who and to what? There's a lot.
Yeah, just in general.
Oh, okay.
On your
So
day-to-day basis.
yeah, I feel like one of the biggest ways, or that I show people that I care or appreciate them, is time. Everyone knows that leaders are super busy. Like, I live in Utah half the time and I live in Texas half the time. And so my time is very limited. So people who sit down with me are just like, holy cow, like, you took the time out of your day to spend 30 minutes. And when I hear people say things like that, like, to me, it makes me want to figure out more times throughout my day on how I can spend one-on-one. So I now have something like, I keep a tracker on my app. I don't know if you guys use like the Tally app, but one of my first goals is to every single day is a one-on-one with at least 3 reps. Every single day, I am going to find some time out of the day. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, but there is going to be 3 people that it's just going to be me and them, whether I'm on the doors, whether I'm going out to lunch with them or anything like that. I feel like the amount of time that I'm giving people individually is how I'm giving back, at least for my team.
What was that app?
It's called the Tally app.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I use an app called A Tracker. I track what things that you would do there is I track time spent with the top 20%, time spent with specific individual people.
I like that.
I've got like 50 different things that I track. I'm really public about that. I think I tracked, it was like 82% of the waking day last year is what I tracked to a micro action, to like hanging, the difference between like walking the dog with my wife, hanging out with my wife, quality time with my wife, spiritual time with my wife, fighting with my wife, like hanging out with family and friends with my wife. There's like 7 things that I do track just on my wife's side, plus obviously everything in every business, all the 5 businesses that I run. I track those, spending time with anyways, so that's
awesome.
yeah, something that I get the people that I coach and train, I get them to, they know, like, hey, if you were to spend more time with your top 20%, how much more how much more money would the business be profitable, right?
Yeah.
I just had a call, not even literally a second ago, right before you, and he was telling me about how he's going out of town. Eric and Jason are his two guys that are his top 20% in this one specific office that are going to push the needle to make sure that they win this competition, because he's going on his bachelor party to Vegas, and like he can't not do that. It's his bachelor party. He's going, so he's going to have that. So anyways, spending time with the top 20% and identifying that is super, super important. So I love that you track that. I'm a big tracker too. So I love that.
I love that.
Speaking of tracking, I'm tracking time, and I want to make sure we respect your time. So
thank you.
I'll end end the show here. Suli, what is your end goal?
A lot of people ask me that, and because I literally enjoy the door-to-door space, like I don't see myself leaving. I'm gonna be doing something, and so at least for this year, kind of my goal is being able to create an office or a space that becomes theirs, where I am no longer here, but the margins and the overrides, stay with this office and the people who are going to be running it. But I do plan to completely retire in 3 more years on my 40th birthday. And then I'll just turn around and I will continue coaching in the space. I did it for a full year last year and I loved it, but I realized the amount of energy and the time that I put into it. It needs to be something that I'm doing just on that side and not taking away from my team. So I paused it for this year, and on my 40th birthday, I'll transition back.
I love that. I appreciate it. I've got like 75 more questions to ask you. I'll have to have you on another time. Yeah, I appreciate your time. You're an outstanding individual.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Any final words for the Golden Door Award winners?
Honestly, it's going to be the literal amount of time that you're going to be spending like on the doors or in this space is what's going to separate you from everyone else. Like even right now, I had taken like 2 weeks off, but during those 2 weeks off, it was like planning what trainings was going to look like, planning like who was going to be knocking with who, planning on who's going to be like what buddy, recruiting. Like literally, like after this, when I go and knock with reps, I'm coming back to have like 3 recruiting calls. I never enjoyed recruiting, but if we are not spending every moment that we can finding ways to be able to grow your reps, like grow your team, like I know that I myself am not going to grow. So if you want to find success in this space, if you want to become a Golden Door winner, help find other people to win with you.
I love that. Where can we find you? I want everyone to follow you. I know you have where can we find you?
Yeah, so just on Instagram. So my public page is the Female Knockers Unite. You guys can find me on there. I also have a link tree there to my podcasts. I typically answer a lot of questions on there that most people have shoot into our DMs. So Instagram is going to be your best bet.
Awesome. I will put all that in the show notes below. Suli, I appreciate you. God bless you. Keep crushing it this year. Looking forward to seeing your success. And I'm going to hold you accountable to that retiring in 3 years thing.
Okay. Me too. And so is my husband.
Let's go. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Suli.
Thanks, Mikey.
All right. See you.